Welcome back on Dynamod. Today I want to propose you a video about
a series of video about the 9th edition for Warhammer 40k released by the Games Workshop. So in the description you can find also the playlist where you can find all the videos related about the core rules and advanced rules related about this edition. So now we can start to see all the rules that we have to know. So, and now after the movement phase, we had the psychic phase. This is the psionic phase. So only if you have model with the keyword psionic, you can use this phase, because otherwise you don't have something to do. And in this case, you have to remember that you have such models, so that you have models that are, for example, in this case, librarians and so on, that can cast different psychic powers. The amount of psychic powers and how much they can deny the psychic power of the opponent depends, and it's written on the datasheet of the model itself. So pay attention about such thing. One thing that I said in the movement phase, but I want to remember you, is that if the models with the psychic keyword, so that they can cast psychic powers, are falling back, so they are running away from the combat, they can't do the casting. There is an exception that are the models with the Titanic keyword, like the Imperial Knight that we have seen. So pay attention, because you have to remember that if you are going to move away from the combat, you lose this ability to cast. So it can be really quite heavy sometimes. And one thing to remember is that all the psychic know a psychic power that it's Smite. Smite, it has a casting value of 5+, so it means that you have to reach on 2 dice a result of 5+ to be able to use this. And this is a psychic power that can let you make that you can target a unit that is within 18 inch of the caster, and that model, that unit, suffer D3 mortal wounds. If the result of the psychic power instead it's 11, so it's a 6 and a 5+, so at least you have to reach this one. In that case, the result, it will be a D6 mortal wounds that you gain. So it's really quite important to remember this one. Moreover, because you have to remember that the mortal wounds can surpass the amount of wounds that a model can suffer, so they can be transferred to other models in the same unit. So remember about this. Moreover, Smite is the only psychic power that can make some exception. One is that usually you can't cast more than one time each psychic power. Smite allows you to cast it multiple times, but it has a requirement. It is that each time you recast it, even if you fail, you have to amount it +1 to the result. So if the first time it was a 5+ to be able to cast, the next time it will be a 6+ to be able to cast that psychic power that it's Smite. So it's the only exception. You can't cast the same psychic power during the turn, during the psychic power, and the same psychic power can't be cast at all. So don't mind if before it is him and then him. Only Smite can be casted in combination, so it can be him that it's going to cast 2 times, and him 2 times, or him once and him once. Not mind. Anyway, the Smite is the only one that is an exception in such a way. So remember such exception, because this is really quite a good thing to remember, because it's something that allows you to do damages, and based on the amount of cast that you have can be really quite important, even if difficulty it increases step by step, because you have to remember that each time you try to cast it, it's a +1 to the difficulty to be able to cast the Smite. One thing to remember about the psychic power is that every psychic power has a casting value, so we have seen that Smite it has a 5+. But you have to pay attention also to the results that you gain, because if you realize casting a 1-1 or a 6, you suffer what is called perils of warp. It means that the caster itself suffer D3 mortal wounds, and it's more problematic than this, cause if the caster die cause these D3 mortal wounds, there is also another effect. The psychic power itself has been cancelled, so it doesn't work, and all the units within 6 inches of the caster suffer another D3 mortal wounds. So you have to remember that it's problematic, but you can also use this way to, for example, move these on cross combat or so on and move into the other units close to the opponent one, so you can risk the psychic power itself and try to kill more models of the enemy. It's up to you decide which thing it's convenient for you, so decide. But it's also another option that you can have. So there is also such way to make that even failing, or better, even killing yourself can be useful. But there is a way to prevent these psychic power that are casted, yes, and it's called Deny the Witch. In this case, you have to remember that if you have a Psyker, usually it has a total amount of psychic power Deny the Witch that it has the ability to do. So remember that if it has success and you finish the option that you can make the Deny the Witch, you have such problem. Anyway, each psychic power can be denied the witch if there is a psyker that it's within 24 inches from the enemy psyker. In that case, you can try to make it deny the witch, and it works so. The opponent try to cast, for example, reaching a 7+ for his casting, and you have to have a result bigger than him. So you have in this case to have at least a 8+. Remember that anyway, you have only one attempt for each psychic power that it's casted. So if you fail, you can't use another psyker to do another Deny the Witch. You have finished your attempts. So pay attention if you have some bonus of some psychers and so on, if you are able to make such Deny the Witch. Anyway, it's an option that you have, and 24 inch, it's not bad at all, believe in me, because it's really quite far and allows you to make a control. So in many cases I suggest you to have a psyker to at least make a little control for eventually psychers of your enemy and eventually cast your own psychic powers. About the psychic phase, I think that it's really quite strategic one, because you can gain bonuses for your units, you can move for your units, and you can make suffer, you can have a sort of other shooting phase for your units, so that it's not bad. So you have a lot of bonuses that you can keep track, and I think that so you can make quite a lot of efforts to use such one, even only to deny the opponent psychic phase. So take this like an important phase, not like something that you can miss and so on, because you can decide not to use the psychic phase, but it can be a really good thing for your opponent. So pay attention and try to understand when you create your rooster if it's comfortable for you using some psyker in your army to make the Deny the Witch and eventually cast psychic powers to improve your army itself.
So,
from Dino Mode, it's everything. I invite you to put a like on this video, to subscribe to the channel, to ring the bell, and to comment this video if you are interested in something about this video or you want to suggest me some arguments for other videos. I hope to see you again to the next time.